All right, are we ready, council? Everybody's all set? And our IT folks are ready to rock and roll? Okay, let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and call our special meeting to order. Today's Wednesday, April 19th, 2023. It is 4 o'clock, and so I'm calling the meeting to order now. And Madam Clerk, if you would please call roll.
Thank you. Councilmember Dinas?
Here.
Councilmember Estrada?
Here.
Councilmember Sobek?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Carwin?
Here.
And Mayor Zimmerman.
And I'm here. Thank you. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I see June Conant's here. Why don't you lead us, June, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, June. I see that Mr. Fiddler's on his way. We're going to get started. This is our Capital Improvement Program Workshop for fiscal year 23-24. I think this is our second CIP workshop, and there may even be another one, but eventually we're going to be approving this with our budget. So, Mr. Fiddler, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council members. As Mayor Zimmerman has indicated, this is the second budget workshop for the Capital Improvement Program. A lot of the information you'll see tonight is consistent with what you saw at our previous April 5th meeting, but we did make changes per the recommendation of the Council. So again, we're moving into April 19th, second workshop. You can see there's a series of other Council budget meetings that we'll be presenting as well. So workshop 1, input summary. Staff reorganized project priority based on input received from the workshop 1. Staff considered projects proposed by council, and then staff also researched council inquiries. So here is a summary of some of the efforts that we completed based off of the discussion on the April 5th meeting. As discussed, we moved the Evans Road Craig Avenue traffic signal from a priority 2 to a priority 1. We added the Bradley Road widening from Holland to Garbani, also a council recommendation. And then Getz Road, Paseo La Plaza traffic signal at Quail Hills Development entrance. We also added that to our signal priority list and as a number 4 to be completed in the future as development occurs. Staff investigated the need, or is investigating the need for the Rouse Road pedestrian over I-215 and its inclusion in the general plan. We haven't actually completed that investigation. We're still working through that within the short 2 weeks period, but we will continue to actively pursue to see if that needs to be corrected in the general plan and removed from the capital improvement program. And then we added $92,000 in fiscal year 23-24 and $589,000 for fiscal year 24-25 for a Romoland Elementary School project. We actually, between April 5th and tonight, we received good news that we were potential or a candidate to receive funding for that project, which would do improvements kind of like what we did on Adams Street in the Romoland area. And then we added 275 in fiscal year 23-24 and 183 in fiscal year 24-25 to the ERP implementation. I can explain a little bit about that in further slides. And then we reduced fiscal year 24-25 proposed budget for Fire Station 68 for the interior improvements from 573 to 108. It's more of a remodel. Some of those original thoughts were some more reconstruction efforts, but it's going in and remodeling the kitchen and the offices area. And then we added the Romoland area to the grant forecast slide, so it's consistent with the remainder of the document. So going back to the fiscal year 23-24 and 24-25 CIP proposed budget or projects, this again is our projected revenue and expenditure. And like I mentioned earlier, you'll see the general fund. It was originally around 1.28 million. It went up to 1.57 million That was due to, there was $275,000 that was plugged into the ERP in an operating budget. Working with finance, we determined that's more of a capital improvement program expenditure, so we took it from the operating budget and moved it into the capital improvement project. So the available amount available came from operating budgets into the CIP. And then you can see at the diff circulation, that program it changed to, and that was some of the matching for the grant applications. So now we're looking at a total of $21.2 million in fiscal year 23-24, and then another $12,352,000 for 24-25. So this is the various funding sources we're proposing for the various projects. The general fund, you can see the biggest project is our Bradley Road Bridge, but this is, again, was where the ERP implementation came from, general fund operating budget and then into the CIP budget.
Hey, Nick, can I ask you to pause for a second? Can we go back to that last slide? I'd like to be able to explain the fiscal year 24, 25. As, if you recall, at the last workshop, we presented a 10-year forecasting model that illustrated that we needed to be very conservative in year 24, 25, and this is a direct result of that. We're trying to be careful with our spending, primarily our general fund. So we're going to have a tight year next year, and we're trying to make sure that we stay within our means. That's why we're only proposing $233,000 from the general fund and 300 plus, almost 400 for DD, is because of that modeling that we have, and hopefully our numbers are better. But if we do see that numbers improve, we'll come back at mid-cycle budget and improve that. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. So you can see in the measure DD, quality of life funding, we're utilizing about $5 million this fiscal year and $396,000, like Armando had mentioned. A lot of the $4.9 million, that's carryover funding. So we're trying to capture it earlier. As you are all aware, construction costs continue to escalate, so we want to put those projects into construction earlier with the available funding. And then we have the ARPA funds, $531,000, so utilizing the remainder of that. Through the transportation, the various projects, a lot of those are carryover projects that we've been working on for a while. But recall the citywide bridge and culvert inventory study, that's a new project that we're working on. And then Marietta Road widening is another one that's a newer project that we're working with WRCOG. We received some funding for that. The citywide traffic signal and safety improvement, that was a grant that we discussed last time. That's the matching for the grant. The McCall Boulevard and Sun City westbound turnpike, that came out of a committee recommendation. The Marietta Road and Holland Road intersection improvements, another new project. We're trying to increase the capacity of that intersection with some minor widenings and striping modifications. And then the PED crossing at Audie Murphy Road, that's to try to gain better access to the ranch house in Audie Murphy. And then the Roma Land Elementary School ATP, again, that's the project that we're receiving a grant funding for, so we have matching obligations for that project. So the remainder of the PMPs, the slurry seals is not a new program, it's just a continuation of the slurry seals for the 23 and 24-25 fiscal years. Just the new projects that are recommended by our pavement management program. You can see the various resurfacing projects. Those haven't changed since our last council meeting. And then all the other ones are consistent, other than we changed fire station number 68 improvements. We reduced that from 500 and something thousand to 108. And then at the bottom of the slide, you can see we added the 275 for 23-24. and 183 for 24-25 with the new reflected totals at the bottom. So a quick stats for fiscal year, new capital improvement projects, we're proposing 20 over both fiscal years for a total of 48 projects in the active projects in the capital improvement program. And then we have 21 million in fiscal year 23-24 and 12.3 million in 24-25. So, and this is a breakdown by category for each fiscal year. We have 7 transportation projects totaling 8 million in fiscal year 23-24 and 3 projects totaling 2.8 million in 24-25. Similarly, 2 projects for 7.3 or 733, and then so on. So you can see the total of projects for each one of those main categories. Would like to point out we're doing 5 street improvement projects for next fiscal year, which is a good amount, and then we're doing 4 projects in the PMP section for both fiscal years. So roughly about $4 to $4.5 million for each fiscal year. And then public facilities, we have a couple of projects we're adding money to. So fiscal year proposed transportation projects. We're breaking it down again. I don't know if anybody wants to stop at any point in time to review these, kind of like what we did last council meeting, to see if you have any questions or comments in regards to the projects listed. These are the 1s and 2s. The next slide I'll change to the 3s and 4s, but I'll give you a couple minutes to analyze these, and we can move to the next slide if there's no questions. Just let me know when you're ready. It's a lot to take in.
Everybody okay?
Okay.
Proceed ahead.
And then this is the 3 and 4 priorities for the same group of projects, transportation projects. You can see we added the Bradley Road widening, Holland Road to Gabarni Road as a priority 3.
And Nick, that one you're talking about, Bradley, is kind of an extension because you were already doing from Holland to about where the high school is, right?
We're actually working in combination. We're working, our capital improvement project goes from the Meadow Run development that's on the southeast corner of Holland and Bradley, and we take it to the first driveway. There's the driveway access on the north side of the school. The school, Paloma High School, is building a traffic signal there, and they'll do widening across the frontage of their project to develop left turn lane pockets and the infrastructure for the signal, and then we'll probably tie into wherever they drop off and then continue to go south. But we've been working with them on their project. They resubmitted some information a week or 2 ago, so we'll continue to push that down as the development occurs.
That's great, thank you.
Director Fiddler, sidewalks by a school, would that go under, and I don't want to take us off track, so transportation projects, or is that more of a pavement management?
It's more of a street improvements.
Street improvements?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll wait till we get there.
Yeah.
Are we okay, council members? All right.
All right. So traffic signal projects for both fiscal years. This is the priority 1 and 2. The new projects for this year: Menifee Road, Fire Station number 76, moving into design. We're continuing with the Getz Road Vista Way traffic signal, and then our grant for the citywide traffic signal safety improvements. And then lastly, a new signal at Evans Road and Craig Road traffic signal. And we did change that one from a 1 to a 2. I mean, from a 2 to 1.
I think that's good with the Gale Webb pump track being there. So many kids on bikes and stuff. It just really makes a lot of sense to prioritize that.
Yeah, and we see there's going to be a lot more traffic on Evans Road. In fact, just this afternoon I was out reviewing the striping and layout for the new traffic signal at Holland and Evans. So within the next week or so, that intersection is going to open up, and there's going to be a lot more traffic going north-south on Evans between Craig and all the way up to Newport.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question on that. There's that one little section that when you come off of Holland on Evans going south, that piece of property that sticks way over. Is anything being done with that landowner to acquire that one little strip?
Yeah, we completely rebuilt that section of roadway over spring break for the school district. So it's been widened. We've acquired the right-of-way. The developer actually acquired the right-of-way. So yeah, we didn't build the ultimate width across the frontage, but we did build quite a bit of new road improvements across that frontage.
Great, because that's been needed for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm counting 12 priority 1 traffic signals here. If we had all of the equipment sitting in a warehouse ready to go, we wouldn't be able to build all 12 of those in this period of time, would we?
Well, a lot of those are going to actually come off the list because between current city projects and projects that we're working on with developers, most of those will come off here in the next 2-3 months. Antelope Road at MSJC is a project that it's under construction. We're waiting for the equipment, just as you spoke. That will start construction in May. Menifee Road and La Piedra, we're in the punch list phases, so that will come off. Marietta Road and Rouse, that's projects in the punch list stages. Contractors doing their punch list items today, this week. The Marietta Road, La Piedra Road traffic signal, that's designed. That will go into construction later this summer. Marietta Road at Sun City Boulevard is complete. Punch list items, just working through the final elements of that. Menifee Road and Matthews Road traffic signal, that one might go away potentially in the future. We're working with a larger developer to maybe reconfigure the roadway out in that area. Maybe instead of Matthews tying into Menifee, they come in McLaughlin and tie into Menifee to get gain separation away from the railroad tracks. And then Getz Road, Vista Way, obviously that one's in construction, in design. So yeah, you're right. If we had to do all 12 of those at once, that would be a lot. But we've been chiseling away at these for the last few years. And so a big chunk of those are going to come off.
Thank you.
I have a question about a traffic signal. IT, can you post the photo, please? I only have 2 pictures, so it shouldn't be hard to find. I won't be sliding through a lot. It's in regards to Evans and Garbani, that intersection right by the Menifee Valley Middle School. I know there's new developments coming in. There it is. So a lot of kids walk on this dirt path right here, and a couple feet to the left, past where it says Evans Road, there's the middle school. And I get emails and calls about this intersection. Do we have a coming light from a developer?
No, we do not, but we are actually had a meeting with the school district. We're trying to, earlier this week, I think on Monday, I think it was Monday, so we're trying to work with them on because obviously you could see the Evans Road alignments don't line up. north and south of Garbani. Ideally, those would line up because you couldn't have two intersections that close together and have left turn movements. It would be very difficult. So there's a lot of work to do still at that intersection to complete it. But we do not, developers not conditioned at this point to build that.
Okay, and then I have one more picture. If IT can please go to the other picture. So that last picture was the east side of the school, and this is the west side. No sidewalks. There is a traffic light there. No sidewalks going up towards Marietta. This is a busy intersection. Council, I think sidewalks on the left here south of Garbani, giving students access to walk to school, or on the east side, looking at a stoplight study would be beneficial for their safety.
You said left, but did you mean the east side of Marietta?
Okay, so the northeast side. Yeah, that
Oh,
big,
you mean going north?
going north.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's equally, I mean, the most important thing that stands out to me is Garbani, the south side of Garbani going east towards the school. There's no walking path there.
Okay.
That's what really sticks out in my mind. And then on the opposite side of the school, like you said, there's no stoplights, but it's something that could be looked into.
Yeah, can you bring back your other picture? Maybe not. If you notice in the past, at some point we put a asphalt walkway in that section, I believe, behind the sidewalk. We could do something similar on the Marietta side, maybe from Marietta to the school, putting in an asphalt sidewalk. That's something we can look at achieving.
Okay, and then it looks like here on Garbani from Evans, the south side of Evans, towards the north side of Evans, if you're walking on Garbani, looks like just dirt. Nothing else is there.
I think there was an asphalt sidewalk. I'll go back out there and check, but I'm pretty sure the city in the past went out there and put the sidewalk. One of the things that we were considering in the past is maybe also moving the crosswalk to the other side and extending that walkway to the other side, because there's less left turn movements and activity on the east side of Garbani. But we can look into it. We can do some traffic studies, some pedestrian counts, and see what makes the most sense. And some of this stuff we can do. It would be a little bit less than a capital improvement project, so I can look at possibly even doing it with staff in-house. But we'll definitely look at something.
Okay,
that
there's
we can
only
go there.
one way in and one way out. You gotta get through Garbani here, and both sides lack the infrastructure for pedestrian safety. So
Yeah.
I think it's something we should look into.
And we have, just so you're aware, we've applied for several ATP grants for putting in pedestrian. The main problem is it's not developed, so whatever we put in now is going to be temporary. So that's kind of why I'm recommending the, sorry, being attacked here.
Yeah.
Putting in the asphalt, it's a little cheaper, it's a little quicker. Sometimes we can do that in-house.
So are you recommending then we do a little patchwork and wait for a developer to come in?
It's going to be a while too, because I don't want to put curb and gutter if I don't have ultimate right-of-way. Otherwise, you're spending a lot of resources and money, and it'll be torn out when something else develops or is required to widen that.
Okay, is there something coming in there south of Garbani?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So,
there's a proposal? Okay,
yeah, I can.
and how far out are we from that? Do you know, Mayor? I don't. No? Okay.
I could share offline.
Okay. Well, yeah, both east and west sides, tough to get into. So if we can please look into that. I don't know if we can make it a priority 4, priority 3.
Well, I think what he's saying, and I support your request for this, but I think what he's saying is we don't even need to put it on the CIP list because the cost is going to be under the CIP required amount, so he can just approve it and move forward with it without it actually being a CIP project.
Okay.
But to the extent that it helps the director, I support what the councilman is saying for the need for that. It's a major cluster out there,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty treacherous walkway in the dirt. Not a lot of shoulder there for the amount of kids that are there at the same time, and people park across the street and kids run across the street and all of that. I do believe the school has a crossing guard out there at Murrieta. Do they have a crossing guard out there
No, because there's a signal now. So.
at Murrieta and Garbani?
Yeah, there's a signal there. Not at Marietta and Evans, though.
So that second photo that you just showed, I haven't driven down there in a while, but
Yeah.
so there is a signul there now. But so the sidewalk would be
It's a sidewalk there, yeah.
yeah. So something to keep the kids out of the street. Like if it's ruddy and treacherous to walk through, they're going to walk on the pavement, which puts them in the way of traffic. So yeah, I think the number of kids that are out there, giving them a safe place to walk and pass is great. If we can do that within city budget, without having to make it a CIP project, we'll probably get it done a lot faster anyway. So yeah, I definitely support that request, and I hope
Yeah,
everybody else
as
does.
long as it gets some attention, I think the residents and everyone who goes to school there would appreciate it.
So, yeah, with that, it would, we just have to check, make sure we have the right-of-way available. Some of the issues that will come up is when we put that walkway, it's going to take away some of the parking that people use out there, because they park everywhere. I've walked with the school district, and when school's getting out and when they're getting there, it's like you said, it's a lot of people, a lot of cars, a lot of walking. We're also hopeful that the school district's working on some buses, so that might alleviate some of the issues as well. But we'll look into it, and we might have to take it off in phases. Maybe some of it this year and some of it in a future year, but we'll start getting away at it, and then we'll continue to look for grants from the Murrieta areas.
All right, thanks, Director Fiddler.
Yeah, even if it's just filling it in and leveling it off as dirt, that's at least something that can be done, because it's difficult to walk through there, and kids tend to go on where it's flat. So
Yeah.
Mr. Villa, do you have anything?
Yeah, Mayor, I pushed the button, but Councilman Carwin read my mind.
Okay.
So I was going to mention that we could probably work on something interim to alleviate the condition, and then go back and assess whether we need to make it a CAP, or we wait for the developers to when development occurs, because there's a lot of contouring, and I worry about drainage and having the right of way. So, but there's definitely something that we can do outside of the CIP if the council agrees, and we'll go out there and fix it.
Good. Let's go to the 3s and 4s.
So again, we're adding additional funding for added the Getz Road Paseo La Plaza traffic signal.
And
No funding, just.
I appreciate you adding that. I mean, really, it ought to be commensurate with whatever development happens there.
Yeah.
If the guy doesn't move forward for 10 years, we don't need to do anything, but it's on there, and so at least we're ready to roll when
Yep.
when the time is right. So.
Any others? Okay. So street improvement projects. We're looking at the Romoland Elementary ATP. That's, again, the big project we're getting a grant for. It was at $4.8 million, a grant. So this is a pretty sizable project.
About how many street sidewalk areas will we be able to do with that amount of money? I mean,
That's supposed to complete the remainder of the grid. Oh, there's a slide?
okay. So that's
Okay.
the
Yeah, we'll get into
the
that.
north triangle.
'Cause we do have Romoland Grid Area 3rd Street, which we already got that ATP grant. This will finish off the rest of it.
Nick, I'm just, I'm looking at, there's about maybe the sixth or seventh one down, Beth Drive, street improvements. Are we using the funds from the arrangement that we had with the developer? Wasn't there leftover money and we were gonna,
Not on that project, no.
that's not what that was for?
Yeah.
Okay. Seemed like I remember the Calder Ranch developer.
Oh, Beth Drive, yeah, that's right. I was thinking, sorry, the other. Yes, that's correct.
So we have the funds for that?
Yeah, we had a settlement agreement. Carlos's staff, they did design it already. We're going to do a lot of the work in-house and do like a small contract for the flat work, the concrete work. But we're waiting on the piece of equipment. We purchased a mini excavator which will help us remove the existing asphalt and AC dike, and then we'll use a contractor to come in behind us to put the curb and gutters, trying to be a little bit more efficient because the funding that we received from the developer was not enough to complete the project through a CIP.
Okay. Thanks for the update. Council members, are we ready for next slide? Okay.
And this is the 3 and 4s.
Yeah, I got a question about that first one. Is EMWD contributing to that expense of the Bradley Newport intersection improvement since they tore a big hole in the middle of it?
Bradley Road and Newport.
Oh, never mind. I'm thinking about Murrieta and
Murrieta,
Newport.
yeah. That project is actually going into construction here very soon. Murrieta and Newport, or actually Murrieta from
The desalination plant up to La Piedra.
Yeah.
By the way, while they're looking at that, I want to give a shout out
the
to our
council
public works
or
team
construction?
for filling in the potholes on Bradley Road. It was like a war zone out there, and they went out there in one day and filled like 13 potholes.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So it's much better. Looks weird, but it drives much better.
Now we're getting a little warmer weather. We can do a little bit more accurate patching. There for a while, we were just trying to stabilize the roads while it was kept getting rained on.
All right, council members, we okay?
Oop,
All right,
sorry.
so here we go.
So here's the projects you had asked about, Mayor, in
Yeah.
regards to Roma Land. These are the segments that we'll be working on, highlighted in green.
Good, so there's a lot of streets, but this is something I asked Armando about the other day. You know, how many of these streets just have a rolled asphalt into a dirt shoulder, and would we be needing to do ADA radiuses and ramps and truncated domes and that sort of thing? But it looks like maybe you're showing those with either blue or
Yeah,
red.
so the red and blues are crosswalk crossings. Because of the nature of this area, it's almost acting like a complete streets program because we're bumping out the curb returns at all the intersections. Yeah. So what that does is it shortens the crosswalk length in the roadway. We had to do that because of the right-of-way was so tight we couldn't get the curb ramps in.
Fingers crossed that we get the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good project.
Great project. And then the proposed pavement management program projects. And then we'll show some slides of the areas that are proposed.
And Nick, will you remind us, did you say there's going to be a new PMP study done this year?
In 24-25, we don't have it funded yet, but our goal is to do the reanalyze all the streets in 24-25. So we'll come back at mid-cycle to make a recommendation for the funding of that study.
Okay, good.
possibly even sooner if we see revenues at mid-year.
How much does it cost to fill a pothole?
So you're talking labor, materials?
Well, yeah, like if we had a pavement management project to say, for the example, that Bradley Road stretch that I was just talking about, they fill, say a dozen potholes. What is the expense to the city on that from a budgeting standpoint?
So a good question. If you remember last year, we put about $200,000 in our operating budget. We just bid a project to do a repair section on Menifee Road near 74 because our staff was constantly going out there and replacing the asphalt in that area. It cost us $166 a ton just in the materials. So we're doing about a little over 1,000 feet, 12-foot wide, for $83,000. So we're going to do another project. We're looking at as well another area. So staff's, because it came in better than what we thought. So we're going to put another project out hopefully here before the end of the fiscal year for that. And then we did the same thing for next year. So we're going to refine that project and that process so the contractors are used to seeing that annually, where we can go do spot repairs, go in and do 12 feet of lane for a few hundred feet to replace it. The other thing is we're doing a pilot program later in May as weather warms up. We're going to do a grind and pave using city staff and a piece of rented equipment to see how that works. Some of my staff have done it in the past for their other agencies, and so we come in there and grind out a wheel track path, something very similar to what happens on Bradley, only one of the wheel ruts is bad. So we go in and grind that section out and repave it all in the same day. So we look for smaller segments, but we're trying a few different techniques and trying to see what our staff can do, because it's obviously a lot cheaper if we can do it in-house, and it saves us from having to go out there after every rain event and patch it. We just to let you know, we did get a 5-ton patch truck earlier this year, and that we've been using it it's really been beneficial to us, especially with this year. In the past, the staff would only maybe do 1.5 to 2 yards of asphalt a day. We've been doing close to 6-7 yards of asphalt a day in patching.
All right, we can move on.
And these are the 3s and 4s. Ready for next slide? Okay, the proposed drainage projects. We have the Garbani Road drainage improvement projects. This one will have a little bit of a conflict with the sidewalks we were just talking about, because that is right there at Menifee Middle School, right there on Garbani. It's on the west side of the school. We're taking out the Arizona crossing and putting in a box culvert in that location. So, but again, another good reason why to use asphalt, because projects like this would take it out. But when we do the box culvert, we'll make sure that we add enough length to have the sidewalk there, because we want it to be at its ultimate width.
Is that work going to happen in the summer when school's out?
Definitely. And we obviously have to do it during the summer too, because we have to coordinate with rain seasons.
Excellent.
And then the line 8 is in the northern part of town. That's again, it's off of McLaughlin, just west of Barnett. That's for a development up there to alleviate some drainage issues they have. And those are both sponsored by Riverside County Flood Control District. Ready for the next one? The public facilities project. These are the Civic Parking Center parking lot. We're adding additional funding to that. We anticipate going out to construction this summer for that. Fire station number 68, interior improvements. Those are projects that we reduced the scoping on, and we did lower the cost. Fire station number 76 living area, that's a project we want to add some capacity to that station, which will happen in the future. This is the design phase of it. The K Cisneros parking lot renovation, very similar to what we've done at Lazy Creek, redoing it, rehabilitating that. And then, as Bryce had mentioned, last council meeting, the citywide facility rekey project.
Director Fiddler, priority number 3, Old Fire Station 5 renovation. I didn't know, I know we're leaving, but the renovation is curtailed to put what next, or what were the ideas before I arrived on the council?
So that old Fire Station 5 renovation is kind of a placeholder to come up with a program to study what can it be used for. What would be the most beneficial use of that property. We know it's an asset to the city. We want to make sure that it's kept as an asset of the city, so we'll come in and do a study, maybe meet with the community, see what their needs are, and it could be go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I've talked to some residents. Some have mentioned a substation there in Quail Valley. Some have mentioned a community center there in Quail Valley. Those are just a couple flyers to take on that, but as we do the renovation, we'll have a better understanding of what's suitable.
Yeah, it's kind of a placeholder to renovate it to something better, so we will definitely come in and study what's the highest and best use of it.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good asset for the city. There are some challenges with the property. It is small. It's an older facility, so we got to be able to make sure. Right now, there's inadequate sewer because it's on a septic tank, so we got to make sure whatever we program in there, the sewer can handle the capacity of it.
Right, okay.
But once the Quail Hills in the future, once that builds, then we could potentially connect to sewer as well, and that might open up some more potential possibilities as well.
Okay, thank you.
And we have not discussed a potential use. The council hasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a question. On Fire Station 76, the new, that's been added as a priority 1, living area improvements, is that an expansion to add more firefighters there, or is it just to update the 25-year-old facility, 30-year facility?
It's to add more dorm space, a couple more rooms, and then expand the living corridors to handle the additional firefighters. I think Lonnie's here if there's anything that I didn't mention that's correct.
So are they looking at adding another patrol there?
I'll have Chief Olson answer that one.
Thank you, Chief Olson.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Yes, that would be the intent, is to plan for, we're starting to see the call volume in that area increase, and it's to get ahead with the construction and stuff and plans for additional staffing at that fire station.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready for the next one, council members? I think so.
Okay, parks, trails, and recreation projects. So we have the AMR Skate Park, the Quail Valley Park, Evans North Park North design. Bryce did a lot of explanation on some of the changes that we're adding, but you can see the public arts in the park is a newer project. And then the dog park at E.L. Peterson.
So is the goal to get through priority 1 level and priority 2 within the next 2 budget cycles, the 2 years, 23, 24, and 24, 25, or is that just as they come off, they just come off?
Yeah, they come off. Yeah,
Okay.
they come off.
Thank
And then obviously the council has the option to change a 2 to a 1 or a 3 to a 2 as we move forward, as some of these drop off.
Thank you.
And that might be a good thing when we look at mid-cycle next year, because like we mentioned, the traffic signals, we're going to lose a lot of those ones, and so maybe we can revisit some of the priorities for the traffic signals.
Nick, does the fence and safety enhancements, it just doesn't seem like a CIP project that's a major thing. It's sort of an ongoing, right?
It is an ongoing, but they do program over $50,000 per year, so anything over $50,000 would typically go into
Okay.
a capital improvement program.
Yeah. I've been getting some questions about the Sun City Park development timing. I know it says here that it's in preliminary engineering, but how far down the line do we expect that to start to take shape? Now that we've got the
Over
funding.
to Mr. Howell.
Thought Nick would just know off the top of his head. No.
Seems
we're
like he
looking
knows
for-
everything else off the top of his head. I've been very impressed. The guy knows every street in Menifee, exactly
It's
where
a-
everything
you mapped
is.
it out. No.
Yeah.
So fall of 2024 is when we're looking to complete the project. So we're going to be moving on that real quick on that project.
So everything, when it says, do we have everything we need as far as rights of permitting and all of that kind of stuff?
So we're going through the
environmental
acquisition of the
process and
land
all
and
that.
everything like that, so we can actually start the process. But we can start all the other process in the background, getting the plans, everything before we can start construction. So then we're able to start right away.
So you're thinking open for business in fall of '24?
Correct.
Wow. All right.
John Nix, did you want to share?
Yes, Councilmember Carwin, council members. Although we were very excited, we just initially got the grant notification last week. So that funding is actually to purchase the land from Faith Lutheran Church. So we have to start an escrow process to do the land transaction and buy it. So that's the first phase of it. So and we also have to bring a grant agreement to City Council to actually accept the funding. So we're in the very, very initial stages of it. And so that's why Mr. Howell's mentioning this like year-and-a-half process to get the park construction.
Yeah, I understand this isn't a hard promise, but I was just curious if it was a 2 to 3 year down the line thing, or we're looking to move on it as quickly as time permits.
As quickly as time permits.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
And we do have a time frame for it because of the grant and everything that we have to have it completed. We're anticipating obviously before that time frame, but so we do have to finish in a
Thank you.
decent amount of time.
This is just a Bill Zimmerman thing, but sometimes in the status it'll say completed, but I know it's not done. It's something that's ongoing, and I just wonder if we can say ongoing instead of completed, just because if it's completed, then it comes off the list. But then when I say, well, is it done? Well, no, it's ongoing. So
Okay.
maybe it's just a nomenclature thing.
Definitely, we will look, because it is kind of, until we file a notice of completion, then it's really completed. So you guys will see that as it comes to council. So yeah, we can definitely work towards that. Oh,
Just so you know, Mayor, some of these that we're saying completed, we've separated the projects so they're not ongoing, so that we're closing that project out and we're recreating specific projects. So then we're able to, it's not just a every year project or a maintenance plan that way. So there's specified projects. So that's why some of these are getting completed. They'll say completed because that actual project is, and we're creating a new one that's specified for a location. If that makes a little bit more sense on some of those.
I'm looking at it from the perspective of somebody who isn't as familiar as we all are, and they're going to look at it and go, well, if it's done, but I haven't seen it completed yet. So, Armando?
I'm wondering if we can explain Quail Valley Park, because I think we're still in negotiations. Bryce, can you give the council an update on that?
Yes, so we're still in negotiations with the HOA. So they are meeting themselves, discussing what they want to do with that land. If they want to give it to the city as a donation to the city, so we can develop that park, or we can redevelop it and be able to use it, or we have that funding in place for specified earmarked for Quail Valley. So we have other land right across the street, Juanita and Getz there. We have land in there, so we have other options if that one does not go through, but that is specifiedly earmarked for Quail Valley. We're using that funding there because Quail Valley is heavily needed for a park.
Agreed.
On the Bradley Basin Park canceled, can you explain that?
Yeah, I'll stay up here, sorry. So after we've discussed and looked at it, the elevation of that park, so what it was in the master plan, we were thinking even a ball field, I believe, something that could be down there. There's no parking around it. To be able to do an ADA, to be able to get down to the bottom of that basin, you'd have to have back and forth walkway. It's just not possible to actually do that. So that's why that one was considered canceled. It's not feasible to be able to develop that into a park. It's the basin that's on Bradley, right by Paloma High School.
Yeah, my children, when they were little, there's a park in Riverside that a basin just exactly like this, where there was a soccer field in the bottom where they would play soccer. We didn't go, well, we sat up at the top as spectators, but just the children went down to the bottom and in the field. But I'm sure ADA compliance rules
ADA and the
have changed.
accessibility to get down there,
Yeah.
that's the reasoning
That's
for
a
that.
shame.
Yes.
Because that's totally a wasted spot there.
Well,
that
wasn't
could be used.
Aldergate Dog Park one of those?
It was, that's actually, it was, there used to be a backstop down there with a grass area before they turned it into a dog park. But that's a lot, it's not as deep as the Bradley one.
Mr. Nix?
Oh, yeah, if I may add, KTUA did look at that with the master plan refresh as well and made that recommendation because of the depth of it versus, I know exactly which soccer park you're talking about in Riverside, and it doesn't have that kind of steep elevation that this one does. So that's why they were recommending to look at some other projects instead of this one.
Council members, are we ready to move on? I believe so.
And last but not least, our technology infrastructure projects. We have the ERP implementation, which we added to the program, the AMR park surveillance, and then the Axon RMS system for the police department.
Okay.
And then this is the grant forecast. You can see we increased the ATP Cycle 6, 4.8 million. So a total of 17 million. And just so you know, we anticipate 24, 25 to go up as well as we continue to get grants for that fiscal year.
Mayor and Council, I just want to brag a little. I just wanted this, we wanted to make sure that you're aware that when we are looking at the CIP, we are heavily going after grants. As you can see, we have over $17 million worth of grants from various funding sources. So I'm very glad that they're really going after grants and not utilizing our general fund or Measure DD money for building infrastructure.
We're almost leveraging 50% or 100% because we're at 21 million for our revenue and expenditures and 17 million in grants.
Is that an in-house grant writer?
Right there.
So-
Jenny McConville and
Who?
Jenny McConville and Carlos Geronimo. Those are our in-house grant writers.
All right, thank you.
All right, so what I'm going to do before we do questions is, Madam Clerk, do we have anybody who has requested to speak?
There are no requests to speak.
No speakers. All right, so council members, we can ask questions, give comments, have discussion. It's wide open. I know our team's looking for some feedback. Councilmember Sobek's first in the queue.
Thank you. I do have a question. At our last meeting, I asked staff to look at Antelope Road north of Newport all the way to Aldergate. Was that looked at, that road?
Yeah, staff did. That's the one thing I forgot. They did look at it. It's not ready for resurfacing, but it would be ready for like a ceiling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would that go into this program?
It
Or
would probably come into another the following fiscal year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
We
but
can
it-
look at doing
But
like
you didn't
crack
add it.
seal.
You didn't add it.
No, yeah, it wasn't I'll have to check, because I had our public works staff go out there and look at it
Okay.
and review it.
Yeah.
We do have a project on Antelope from, is it Holland to
La
Newport?
Piedra or Newport? Yes, there is
Antelope?
one.
What
There,
they- Yeah.
there is one on
Yeah.
the south side of
Yeah.
Newport, yes.
But yeah, we will definitely continue to monitor it. But from a report, I didn't go out there and physically look at it myself. I had my staff go out there and review it. And they said it wasn't ready for resurfacing, but potentially like a slurry or
Yes,
crack seal. And
yeah, something.
yeah,
No, that's
It's
the
in the
Menifee
CIP.
Road.
for which year?
That's Menifee Road to Aldergate from Newport, right?
Sorry, Antelope Road from Newport to Aldergate. It's already in a payment management program. It's category 3 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did add it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I looked on there, I didn't see it, so thank you. Thanks for clarification, Carlos. So one other question I have is, where would dirt roads fall into this program? With the rains and things that we've experienced, I've had some conversations with you about some of the dirt roads, particularly where they have cut-throughs when there's accidents on main roads. Some of those side dirt roads get used quite a bit. And you talked about possibly doing some base or some grinding and rock at the entrance and exits of some of these dirt roads to help. So where would we put that? Does that-
Typically, that falls into our operating budget.
Okay.
So a little background on our street grading. Typically, we come in before the winter, September, October. We do a grading, and then we come back in March, April, and do a grading, and that each year. This year was an anomaly. I mean, it rained pretty much from October all the way to March nonstop. So we can't get out there and grade when it's wet. We create a bigger mess than what it exists with the potholes. So now they've been going every day solid as it's warmed up, and they've been hitting all the streets. We are looking at different types of processes. The county uses what they call a double chip seal. So we're going to work towards doing a double chip seal on a street segment to see if we can stabilize some of the roadways. Our first project that we're looking towards is Briggs Road between Garbani and Wickard. Sorry, drew a blank there for a minute. To help the new school that's going out there, because we realize there's going to be a lot of traffic when elementary school number 15 opens up. That's going to be a cut through. So that's going to be one of our first projects of a double chip seal, because the county did about the first 600 feet from Wickard going north, and it looks to be holding up fairly well. So we're going to go from that point and carry it all the way to Garbani. We actually met with the county, asked them their process. They gave us some recommendations. So we'll do that. In other areas, we're going to start looking at where we have low spots in the roads and adding in base, adding in the materials. I now have two to three really good motor grader operators that are capable of doing blading fast, and we now have staff that have Class A driver's licenses that can haul the rock and materials. That's what before I didn't have that staff available to me. So we've now built up the operations division to where we have 9 street maintenance workers and 2 senior street maintenance workers, and most of them have a Class A license, and like I said, 3 or 4 of them know how to operate the motor grader. So
So we don't need to put it in this, it's under the operating budget. And I know it's off the subject then, because we're talking about this CIP, but you grade every single dirt road in the city twice a year,
Not every dirt road, because a lot of dirt roads are private.
okay?
So
just
there's a
the
lot
public.
the private ones are maintained by the property owners adjacent to them. We maintain roadways that have been dedicated and accepted by the county. So those are the only roadways we maintain. There are several roadways that were dedicated but never accepted by the county. For various reasons. They didn't meet any type of standards when they were built. Or we didn't receive all dedications. There was just little short chunks, so there wasn't enough to make it from the primary road all the way back to where it was dedicated. So there's a lot of different scenarios throughout the city of where we don't have dedicated right-of-way, where we do have dedicated right-of-way, and that hasn't been accepted, and there's anywhere that have dedicated right-of-way and accepted, we're grading.
Okay, I'm not going to take any more time on this tonight, but this is a future conversation that I would like to maybe talk a little bit more about.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I know we're running short on time here. I did see a note in here for the Paloma Trail pedestrian bridge, but I didn't see anything in here for the amphitheater.
I think
Is it in here?
Yeah,
Maybe I just missed it. And
under parks, yeah.
there's no.
is it in here?
use.
Okay. Slide 15 or page 15?
All right, council members, do we have any more comments, questions?
Oh, there it is. Thanks.
All right, well, we're grateful for all the hard work the team's doing, and Nick, will you remind us, will we be doing any more workshops for CIP, or is this it, and we'll see it again when the budget comes in a regular council meeting?
This is it, and when we come to the budget adoption, if there's any other questions.
All right, very good, thank you. All right, council members, are we good? We're gonna go ahead and adjourn. It is 5:03. Council members, stay where we are, because I'm gonna go ahead, if we can, and call the closed session meeting to order now at 5:03. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on closed session?
There are none.
All right, and do we have any correspondence received on our closed session items?
There is none.
All right, very good. We're gonna go ahead and recess now to closed session at 5:04.